Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about graphing points, the idea here is if you get some points that are graphed, what are they telling us? So based on the labels that are on the graph and the numbers that we see, what do those things mean in the context of the problem? That's what we're going to look at here. So to do some practice, you can go ahead, right click, save to keep. Open a new tab. We'll click on it. We'll click again. Once it loads, sorry. And the pen. And here we go. So let's make my pen a little smaller here. Okay. So the first problem, if we look at the graph, is talking about distance and time. So we know something is traveling a certain amount of distance at a certain amount of time. Depending on what the numbers are, that could give us a guess about maybe what that item is, since this graph is missing a title. So when I'm kind of looking at the numbers here, I see they start to go up to 300 in the distance and only 5 in the hours. So it's probably not going to be someone walking or running. We're probably looking at some sort of vehicle here. So if I look at the questions, we're going to interpret this point right here that's selected. So the point, it says its coordinates are 2 and 120. So first question you want to think about when we do this is which number is x? Well, if we remember, we do points x, y. So the points, or the number that's x would be 2. Then it says, what's the x label? So remember, the x is the side-to-side axis. It is labeled on this one for us. And so the label for that would be time in hours, right? Then it says which number is y. So process of elimination would tell us the other number is, right? Or we, know that the second number in an ordered pair would be y, so it'd be the 120. And what is the y label? Y is going up and down, and it says distance in miles. So what does this point mean about the car driving? So what I'm going to do is kind of put all this information together. And I could actually kind of go in order of what we did here, or I could kind of flip and do the y first as I explain it there. So looking at this here, I know 2 is talking about hours, so I could say it takes, 2 hours to drive 120 miles. 2 hours to drive 120 miles. So I'm putting the labels with the numbers and then putting them together. Now, from here, eventually, in the next couple of days, we'll get into where is the unit rate on this graph and what does it tell us. But for now, 2 hours and 120 miles is what I'm looking for you to be able to do. So find which is the coordinate and which label goes with it, and then give us an explanation. So right now, you can, well, when I'm done talking here, you can go ahead and pause and see how far you can get in the next problem without me doing anything. If you feel like you can't do any of it, then, keep watching, don't pause. But I would say try pausing, see what you can do, if you can get any of the questions, even if you can't get all of them, and then we'll check together. So go ahead, pause now. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this and see kind of what you got there. So this time we have a different situation. It's about weekly costs, and we're looking at weekly costs for a certain number of workers. So depending on how many workers you have, that would tell us then how much cost. So the cost is going to depend on our workers there. So which number is x? when we write a point, it always goes x, y. And so the number that's x would be the first one, so it would be 7. And the x label, so x is the side-to-side axis, so that would be this one. And the label on this one is number of workers. And then it says which number is y, so the other one, the second number, 5,250. And what's the y label? The y label would be weekly costs. And so then again, same idea. What does that point mean about the weekly costs? So if we kind of go and give it the labels, it's 7 workers. So we could say something like, okay, 7 workers cost $5,250 a week. Because that's kind of what weekly cost means, right? So again, the question eventually is going to be, what's the unit rate here? So how much does it cost for one worker in a week? But that's what we'll work on in the next couple of days. So right now, your takeaways is kind of finding the numbers, finding the labels, and then interpreting what those points mean. So we'll go ahead, go back, go on my notebook. We'll go ahead, copy, delete what's there, paste, and there's my notes.